Last week I started the experiment. Can I cool down my entire house by making use of groundwater that I normally use to water my garden? I built a proof of concept test setup and measured the water flow, making use of realistic temperatures. And the results were promising. I was able to lower the temperatures of water normally coming from the floor heating system. In the second part I moved from the test setup to the real installation in my house. I installed three-way valves to switch between the cooling circuit and the normal heating circuit. I installed the heat exchanger and a circulation pump. In this video I show the installation and the problems that I ran into along the way, and also the results so far. This is my current heating system installation. Let me say this up front, I'm not a plumber and I'm certainly not an expert in heating systems. I do my best to work safely and carefully, but if you decide to make changes to your own installation, always do your own research and make your own decisions. Right now, this system is only used for heating the floor heating system in the house. Although they're a bit difficult to see because of the other pipes, this is the supply line going to the floor heating and this is the return line coming back from the floor. These are the two connection points. We'll be installing the three-way valves to create a separate circuit for floor cooling. We also have an expansion vessel, which helps keep the pressure in the system stable, and the pressure meter that shows the current pressure in the water circuit. Besides that, there are a few standard components, such as the filling valve, an air vent to remove trapped air in the system, and the drain connection for maintenance and servicing. These are all normal parts of a heating system, but they also provide a good starting point for integrating the cooling system. And these are the main components I'll be using for this project. These are the three-way valves. They operate on 24 volt and I'll be controlling them using an ESP. This is the circulation pump. It runs directly on 230 volts from a regular wall outlet and can be configured in 3 different flow settings. I still have to test how well it performs on this setup, but based on the specifications it should be suitable for a system like this. I already had this pump available, which made it an easy choice for this project. And this is the heat exchanger. It's the same one I used in the proof of concept setup and the initial tests. To connect everything together, I'll be using standard heating pipes and the number of fittings that I ordered for this project. Now let's start with the installation. The first step was to remove the pressure from the heating circuit and disconnect the parts I wanted to modify. After removing the expansion vessel and loosening a few connections, I could finally take out the sections of pipe where the 3 valves will be connected. To create enough space for the valves, I had to shorten some of the existing pipes, and my goal was to disturb the original installation as little as possible and reduce as much of it as I could. And of course, the first thing goes wrong here. While working on the system, this drain pipe snapped off completely. And while this was not exactly what I had planned, after looking at it for a minute, I realized this actually gave me more room to work. So I decided to cut off the remaining part as well and simply rebuild it later. This is a good example of sometimes a project solves a problem by creating a different one for you. But at the end, I was happy with the additional workspace that this created. And with that out of the way, I could continue installing the new components and reconnect everything. Once all the pipes were back in place, it was time for the first pressure test. At this moment, the cooling circuit was not connected yet. The only goal was to verify that the modified heating system was watertight and could still operate normally. After repressurizing the system, I carefully checked all connections for leaks. And fortunately, everything looked good. The three-way valves were now installed, but for now I left them disconnected. I didn't want to accidentally switch over the cooling circuit before everything else was connected. This is also I would recommend if you're doing a modification like this. First make sure that the original heating system works correctly again and is completely leak-free before moving to the next stage. I want the circulation pump and the connecting pipes to be mounted as solid as possible, while keeping the number of fittings to a minimum. So the first step was figuring out where I could add a support bracket to the wall for the circulation pump. The same idea applies to the heat exchanger. I wanted to mount it securely while keeping the plumbing as simple as possible. In the end I decided to route the pipes directly towards the circulation pump without using a 90-degree bend. That resulted in the simplest layout and the fewest connections. Based on that layout, I could also design the mounting bracket for the heat exchanger. And I'm aware that condensation may form on the heat exchanger once cold groundwater starts flowing through it. If this concept works, I'll most likely add a drip tray underneath it and connect that to the drain. And as I still need to repair the drain, I can easily extend it so that I can also use it from here. but that's something for a later phase of the project. There are still several improvements and optimizations planned. And if the cooling concept proves to be successful, this is one of the things I'll improve in the next phase. So everything is connected. I hope there are no leaks. Let's figure out, but first I will get some towels in case there goes something wrong. And I only connected the side of the floor heating, cooling in this case, because that's enough to do the first test if everything is leak proof. And if there are no leaks, I'll connect the groundwater to it, and yeah, let's see what the results are then. So this is really the first time that I power up the whole installation. Yesterday I did the test on the heating system and there are no leaks there. Today I connected the cooling circuit with the heat exchanger and the circulation pump. And this is the first time that I'll switch it to that circuit so that we can see if there are no leaks there. The heat exchanger is only connected on one side just because I want to see if there are no leaks, and then I will continue with connecting the other circuit. And here I have already the device that is switching between the two circuits. It's an ESP with a simple switchboard, so that will help me in changing the circuit. And in case something goes wrong, I have the towels ready, but fingers crossed that it will work the first time. Yeah, and we have a small leakage there. So unfortunately we need the towels, and I'm directly switching the circuit back. So too bad. I just installed the circulation pump again. Now let's switch the circuit and see if it's watertight this time. So apparently this was my weakest link, the connectors between the pipes and the circulation pump. So I will just renew the tape in between. I will do that in the workshop so that I can make sure that it's good this time. So this is the third attempt, and I hope that it is watertight now because I'm running out of dry towels. And fingers crossed. Let's see what it does this time. And I'm pressurizing it really slowly. So luckily it's watertight this time, and I'm not an expert here. So if I'm doing something completely wrong, then just step in and let me know. I just created it how I thought that it is logical. So the cold water flow is towards the direction that normally the hot water for the floor heating goes. So that the direction for the energy transfer is exactly the same. And I don't know if that's mandatory, but I thought I will just connect it in that way. Then that can never be an issue. Same goes for the expansion reservoir. That's also in the same direction now. So the whole setup is now connected in the same way that the heating unit normally provides the heat to the floor. And as a next test, I will turn on the circulation pump and see if that also works. Although we cannot see that there is flow. Yeah, let's see what happens. And we should be able to see how much flow there is if we look at the divider of the floor heating groups in our utilities closet. So there we should recognize that there is some flow. So let's switch to vlog style and see in the utilities closet if we can see if there is any flow. But I guess there is also some air in the pipes that we also need to get rid of. At least based on the sound, it looks like there is something happening. Hey, Sammy. Now, it doesn't look like that there is something happening here, looking at the flow meters. So let's first get rid of air then. So I think this is a good point to wrap up this phase of the project. At this point, the installation is almost completely leak-free. I've been running the cooling circuit several times, and quite a bit of air came out of the system in the beginning. Most of that air now seems to be gone. And if you take a look at the floor heating manifold, we can see there is definitely some flow through the system, although the flow rate is way lower than expected. Now this circulation pump should provide a much higher flow rate than what I'm currently measuring. I know that the floor heating system creates some resistance, but even then, I'm only seeing around 10% of what this pump should be capable of. Right now, I'm measuring roughly 300 liters an hour, spread across the different floor heating groups. But that's definitely enough to do some first testing. There may still be some air trapped somewhere in the system, causing this limited flow, but it's something that I will investigate further later. The weather is currently not very sunny, and with temperatures of around 22 degrees Celsius, it's difficult to do any meaningful real-world testing. So, as soon as we get a hot day with temperatures above 25 degrees Celsius, I should be able to perform a proper first test. And at that point, I'll measure the floor and room temperature and the water temperatures, so we can do some calculations and get a better understanding of the system's performance. In the meantime, try to figure out what is limiting the flow rate of the circulation pump. I also continue working on the temperature sensors so that we have good data available during the first test. And although not everything went as planned, I'm still very happy with where the project is now. The installation is operational, water is circulating through the system, and all the major issues with leaks appear to be solved. Now I'm really curious to see how well it performs when we start cooling the floor for real. This was part 2 of this project series, and I hope you find it just as interesting as I do. If all goes well, the next video will be the first real cooling test, where we finally find out how much cooling power that we can get into the house. And if you enjoy these kind of projects, feel free to have a look at some of the other videos on the channel. The projects are a bit all over the place, and that's simply because I'm working on a project that I find interesting. At the same time, I'm also learning how to make videos, how to film them, how to edit them, and how to tell a clear story. I'm just trying to make every video just a little bit better than the last one. And here we have actually a nice example in the room that we are now. You'll also find the heat recovery ventilation system. I modified and optimized it to make it quieter, more energy efficient, and to create a more comfortable living environment in the house. And just like this cooling project, it's all about finding practical ways to improve comfort and efficiency. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and help me grow the channel. As for now, this was Focus and Builds. I'm John, and I hope to see you in part 3.